Who pays for this place? Your boyfriend dealing drugs or something? The water erupts. Full blast. It hits her square in the face, the chest, the throat. The force sends her stumbling backward, arms flailing, until she crashes hard onto the wet lawn. Her palms scrape against dirt and grass. You really think I'm stupid? A black woman living in a neighborhood like this? $500,000 and you're out here with a garden hose? He steps forward. Closer. The stream intensifies, pounding her shoulders, her ribs. Water fills her mouth when she tries to speak. You're either cleaning someone's house or you broke in. So which one is it? Please. Please. I own this home. Her voice breaks. Water chokes the words before they can fully form. She's gasping, drowning on dry land. Own it? He laughs. The sound is sharp, vicious, ugly. Maybe I should call ICE. See if you're even supposed to be in this country. 40 seconds. That's how long the water pounds into her. 40 seconds of suffocation, of humiliation, of neighbors stepping onto porches, pulling out phones, recording everything, capturing every second. He finally stops, lets the hose drop. Water pools around her knees, soaking into the soil she'd been carefully watering moments before. She sits there, destroyed, mascara streaking down her cheeks in black rivers, hair plastered to her skull, breathing hard, shaking. Then slowly, carefully, she stands, reaches into the pocket of her jeans, pulls something out, something small, something that makes every ounce of color drain from his face. What she pulled out made him beg for mercy. Before we go deeper into this case, take a second and hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like and let us know where you're watching from. I'm curious to know how far these stories travel. Tuesday morning, August 14th, Riverside, California. The sun climbs over the Magnolia Heights neighborhood, one of those places where money whispers instead of shouts. Tree-lined avenues, Spanish colonial homes with clay tile roofs and arched doorways. Front lawns maintained by professionals twice a week. Luxury sedans in every driveway. 3,421. Sycamore Court sits quiet in the early light. A two-story Mediterranean-style house. Terracotta exterior. White stucco accents. A carefully tended rose garden wraps around the stone walkway. Every bloom hand-selected. Every stem precisely trimmed. Deep red geraniums sit in hand-painted ceramic pots on either side of the mahogany front door. Inside, Dr. Veronica Hayes pours her second cup of coffee. The kitchen smells like dark roast and bergamot. Soft jazz plays from a speaker mounted on the granite counter. Miles Davis. Her favorite for Tuesday mornings. She's 44. Natural curls pulled back with a silk scarf. No makeup yet. Wearing faded jeans and a loose linen shirt. Comfortable clothes. Gardening clothes. Her leather briefcase sits packed by the entryway. Case files inside. Depositions. Legal briefs for the hearing scheduled at 1:30 this afternoon at the federal courthouse downtown. But first, the roses need water. They always need water in August. She glances at the photograph held to the refrigerator by a magnet. Her and Michael, on their 15th anniversary. Her husband, Dr. Michael Hayes, cardiovascular surgeon. He left for the hospital at 5:45 this morning. Surgery schedule always starts early on Tuesdays. Veronica walks to the front door, opens it. The morning air rushes in, cool and dry. She breathes deep. This is her favorite part of the day. Before the courtroom, before the arguments and objections and legal maneuvering, just her and the garden and the quiet. She grabs the coiled green hose near the porch steps, turns the spigot. Water rushes through the rubber, making it heavy in her hands. She adjusts the nozzle to a gentle mist. The roses drink gratefully. She moves slowly from plant to plant. Each one gets individual attention. The soil darkens as moisture soaks in. Morning, Veronica. Margaret Callahan waves from the neighboring yard. She's 76. Silver hair pulled into a neat bun. wearing a floral housa dress and canvas gardening gloves, her own hose in hand. "Good morning, Margaret." Veronica smiles. "Your hydrangeas are looking gorgeous this year." "Oh, please. Yours put mine to shame every single time." Margaret laughs. A warm sound. "That fertilizer blend I recommended really did the trick, didn't it?" "Like magic." "Thank you again." This is their routine. 6 years of it now. Sunday afternoon tea on the back patio. Emergency calls when deliveries arrive while one of them is out. Margaret house sat when Veronica and Michael went to Maui last spring. Veronica waters the geraniums next. She hums softly to the jazz still playing inside. Her mind is already running through today's case. Complex employment discrimination lawsuit. Municipal government involved. She needs to stay sharp, focused. She doesn't hear the patrol car slow down across the street. Doesn't notice Officer Cole Brennan behind the wheel, watching her through mirrored sunglasses. Brennan is 39, buzz cut, going gray at the temples, square jaw, 17 years with the Riverside Police Department. He grips the steering wheel tight. His jaw clenches. "You see that?" His voice is low, tight. His partner, Officer Tyler Chen, glances up from his phone. Chen is 26, fresh-faced, only 10 months out of the academy. "See what?" "Black woman. Expensive house. Doesn't fit." Brennan shifts the car into park. "Something's off here. I'm checking it out." "Cole, come on." Chen shifts uncomfortably in his seat. "It's just someone watering their garden." "In Magnolia Heights." "This is a good neighborhood." "Exactly. This neighborhood." Brennan opens his door. Something doesn't add up. "I'm verifying." The captain said, "We need to be careful. The Community Relations Office." "The Community Relations Office can go to hell." Brennan steps out. "I've been doing this job 17 years. I know suspicious activity when I see it." Chen watches him cross the street, doesn't follow. His stomach twists with unease. This feels wrong. All wrong. But Brennan is the senior officer. Chen is still on probation. Still proving himself. Brennan's boots hit the sidewalk hard. Deliberate. His hand rests on his belt. Near his service weapon. Near his cuffs. Near his radio. Veronica glances up. Sees the uniform approaching. The badge glinting in the morning sun. She straightens. Turns off the hose spray. "Good morning, officer." Her voice is calm. Professional. The same voice she uses when addressing a courtroom. "Can I help you with something?" Her pulse quickens despite the calm exterior. She's done nothing wrong. Nothing. Still, her hands tighten slightly on the hose. Brennan stops at the low decorative fence. Doesn't ask. Doesn't wait. Just steps right over it. Onto her property. Onto her lawn. His shadow falls across the rose bushes she's been carefully tending. "What are you doing here?" His voice is flat. Cold. Veronica blinks. "I'm watering my garden." "Is there some kind of problem?" "Your garden?" He looks at the house, then back at her. His eyes narrow behind the sunglasses. "This is your house?" The way he says, "your," makes her skin prickle. "Yes. I live here. Why are you asking me this?" Brennan takes another step closer. Invading her space, making himself bigger, taller, more imposing. "Ma'am, I'm going to need to see some identification." Veronica's heart pounds. She's a federal judge. She knows the law better than most practicing attorneys, better than most law professors. And right now, standing on her own property, this officer has absolutely no legal grounds to demand her identification. "Officer, I'm on my own property. I don't have to show you any identification." Brennan's face hardens like concrete. "Ma'am, don't make this more difficult than it needs to be." "I'm not making anything difficult. I'm asking why you're standing on my lawn demanding my ID when I'm watering flowers in front of my own home." He steps even closer. She can smell his aftershave now. Cheap. Overpowering. His hand stays near his belt. Near his weapon. "We've had multiple reports of suspicious activity in this neighborhood. I need to verify that you actually live here." Suspicious activity? Veronica's voice rises slightly. I'm watering flowers. Exactly. He removes his sunglasses. His eyes are cold. Hard. You don't look like you belong in this neighborhood. The words hang in the air between them. Heavy, deliberate. Veronica feels the ground shift beneath her feet. Not literally, but something fundamental changes in this moment. She understands exactly what's happening here. What he's really saying. Officer, I don't know what reports you're talking about, but I own this home. My husband and I have lived here for 6 years. Now, please leave my property. Brennan doesn't move. Show me ID, or I'll arrest you for obstruction. For what? Standing on my own lawn? For refusing a lawful order. There's nothing lawful about this. You have no probable cause, no reasonable suspicion, no warrant, nothing. Veronica's voice is steady now, strong. This is what she does. This is who she is. You need to leave. Now. Brennan's face flushes red. His hand moves closer to his weapon. Ma'am, I'm going to ask you one more time. And I'm telling you one more time. Leave. My property. Margaret appears at the fence line. Veronica? Everything all right over there? Ma'am, step back. Brennan doesn't even look at Margaret. This is police business. I know, Veronica. Margaret's voice is firm. She lives here. She's a federal judge. Maybe you should. A federal judge? Brennan laughs. The sound is ugly. Mocking. Right. And I'm the president. He turns back to Veronica. Last chance. Identification. Now. Veronica's hands shake. Not from fear. From rage. Pure, controlled rage. No. That one word. 2 letters. It changes everything. Fine. Brennan reaches for his cuffs. Turn around. Hands behind your back. You're arresting me? For what? Trespassing. Obstruction. Resisting. Take your pick. On my own property? Prove it's yours. I don't have to prove anything to you. This is unconstitutional. Illegal. And you know it. What I know is you're refusing a lawful order. Brennan grabs her arm. Hard. His fingers dig into her bicep. Get your hands off me. Veronica pulls back. Don't touch me. Stop resisting. I'm not resisting anything. You're assaulting me. Margaret has her phone out now. Filming. I'm recording this. I'm recording everything. Ma'am, put that phone away, or you'll be arrested too. This is America. Margaret's voice shakes but doesn't break. I have every right to film police activity in public view. Brennan ignores her, focuses on Veronica, tightens his grip on her arm. That's when Veronica sees it. The garden hose, still on the ground where she dropped it, still connected to the spigot, still running, water trickling out the end. Brennan sees her looking at it. His eyes follow hers. A slow, cruel smile spreads across his face. Oh, you want your hose? He releases her arm, walks over to it, picks it up. Sure, let me help you with that. He turns the nozzle, tests the pressure, adjusts it to full blast. Officer, don't. Veronica's voice changes. A warning, please. Please? He mimics her, mocking. Now you want to be polite? Should have thought of that earlier. Margaret is still filming. Sir, you need to stop this right now. I'm calling. Call whoever you want. Brennan aims the hose at Veronica. This is what happens when people don't cooperate. The water hits her like a freight train. Full pressure. Straight to her face. Her chest. The impact knocks her backward. She stumbles. Falls. Hits the grass hard. Stop! Margaret screams. Stop it! Brennan doesn't stop. He steps closer. Sprays harder. The water pounds into Veronica's shoulders, her stomach, her face again. She can't breathe. Can't see. Can't speak. Who's paying for this house, huh? Brennan's voice is loud now. Aggressive. Your boyfriend dealing drugs or something? That how you afford this place? Veronica tries to stand. The water slams her down again. Please. The word comes out choked. Garbled. Please. Stop. You think I'm stupid? Brennan moves the stream back to her face. A black woman living in a neighborhood like this? $500,000 and you're out here pretending to water flowers? I own, she gasps. I own this home. Own it? He laughs again. That same cruel, vicious sound. Right. You're either cleaning someone else's house or you broke in. So which is it? The water keeps coming. Relentless. Veronica's hands claw at the grass, trying to find purchase, trying to get up. Please. I can't breathe. Please. Maybe I should call immigration. Brennan adjusts his aim, hitting her directly in the throat. Check if you're even legal. Make sure you didn't sneak across the border somewhere. Across the street, more neighbors emerge. Mrs. Chen from number 3408. The Rodriguez family from 3415. The Johnsons. The Patels. All of them with phones out. All of them filming. 40 seconds. That's how long it continues. 40 seconds of water blasting into her. Of Brennan's voice hurling accusations and insults. Of Veronica choking, gasping, drowning on her own lawn. Chen finally gets out of the patrol car. Walks slowly across the street. His stomach is in knots. Cole. His voice is quiet. Uncertain. Maybe that's enough. When I say, it's enough. Brennan doesn't even look at him. 5 more seconds. Then he finally stops. Lets the hose drop to the ground. Water pools around it, soaking into the grass. Veronica sits there in the spreading puddle. Her clothes plastered to her skin. Hair destroyed. Makeup running in black streaks down her face, chest heaving as she tries to catch her breath. Her hands shake violently. The neighbors stand frozen, phone still recording. Nobody moves. Nobody speaks. Brennan wipes his hands on his pants like he's just finished something distasteful but necessary. Now, you ready to show me some ID? Veronica doesn't answer. Can't answer. She's still trying to breathe properly. That's what I thought. Brennan reaches for his cuffs again. Stand up. You're under arrest. Margaret steps forward. Her phone still recording. You can't arrest her. She didn't do anything wrong. Ma'am, I told you to step back. I'm not going anywhere. This is wrong. This is completely... Brennan takes a step toward Margaret. His hand moves to his belt. Chen finally finds his voice. Cole, stop. Just stop. Brennan freezes, turns slowly to look at his partner. What did you say? This isn't right. Chen's voice is stronger now. She's on her own property. She doesn't have to show ID. You just... He gestures at the hose, at Veronica still sitting in the water. This isn't right. You questioning me? Rookie? I'm saying we should leave. Before this gets any worse. Worse? Brennan's voice rises. I'm doing my job. Investigating suspicious activity. There's nothing suspicious about someone watering their garden. You don't get to decide that. I do. Brennan points at Veronica. And I say she's suspicious. So either back me up or get in the car and shut your mouth. Chen looks at Veronica. At Margaret. At all the neighbors filming. At the hose lying in the grass. Still trickling water. He makes a choice. A decision that will define everything that comes after. No. Chen's voice is quiet but firm. I'm not backing you up on this. This is wrong. And everyone here knows it. Brennan's face goes purple with rage. You're done. You hear me? Done. I'll make sure you never work in law enforcement again. Maybe that's better than this. Chen pulls out his own phone. Starts his own recording. And I'm documenting everything from here forward. For the record. Brennan stares at him. For a long moment, nobody moves. The tension is thick enough to cut. Then Veronica stands. Slowly, carefully. Water drips from her hair, her clothes, her fingertips. She reaches into the pocket of her soaked jeans. Pulls something out. A small leather wallet. Brennan's eyes go wide. His face changes. All the color drains away like someone pulled a plug. Because printed on the outside of that wallet, embossed in gold lettering, are 4 words: United States. Federal Judge. Veronica opens the wallet, holds it up so Brennan can see the identification card inside. Her official federal credentials, her photograph, her title, the Honorable Veronica Hayes, United States District Judge, Central District of California. Brennan's mouth opens, closes, opens again. No sound comes out. My name is Judge Veronica Hayes. Veronica's voice is steady now, cold, clinical. I was appointed to the federal bench 7 years ago by the President of the United States and confirmed unanimously by the Senate. I have presided over hundreds of cases, including multiple civil rights lawsuits against law enforcement agencies. My husband, Dr. Michael Hayes, is the chief of cardiovascular surgery at Riverside General Hospital. We purchased this home in 2019 for $547,000. Our mortgage is through Wells Fargo. We pay our property taxes on time every year. And I was watering my roses when you stepped onto my property without permission, without cause, and without authority. She takes a step toward him. He takes a step back. You demanded identification without probable cause. You threatened to arrest me for obstruction when I was exercising my constitutional rights. You used physical force against me. You assaulted me with a weapon. And you did all of this while hurling racist accusations about drug dealers, immigration status, and my supposed inability to afford this home based solely on the color of my skin. Brennan's hand trembles. I didn't. I was just... You were just what? Veronica's voice cuts like a scalpel. Doing your job? Is racial profiling part of your training now? Is assaulting citizens with garden hoses standard procedure? Ma'am, He looks around desperately. At Chen, at Margaret, at all the neighbors filming. I made a mistake. A mistake. Veronica nods slowly. Yes, you did. A catastrophic one. Before we continue, take a second and share your thoughts so far on this story below. I read every single one. If you were Judge Hayes in this moment, standing there soaking wet, facing the officer who just humiliated and assaulted you in front of your neighbors, what would your next move be? Would you press charges? Walk away? Demand immediate consequences? Share your perspective in the comments. Brennan tries again. Judge Hayes, I apologize. I didn't realize. Didn't realize I was a federal judge? Or didn't realize you couldn't spray black women with hoses for existing in nice neighborhoods? That's not. I didn't mean. Every word you spoke is on camera. Veronica gestures at the phones. Every action you took, all of it documented by multiple witnesses. Mrs. Callahan, would you say Officer Brennan had any reasonable basis for questioning my presence at my own home? Margaret's voice is steady. None whatsoever. I've lived next door to you for 6 years. Everyone in this neighborhood knows you. Knows your husband. There was no suspicious activity. Just a woman watering her garden on a Tuesday morning. Veronica turns to Chen. Officer Chen, is it? Chen straightens. Yes, ma'am. Did you have any concerns about my presence here? No, ma'am. Chen's voice is clear. Firm. I told Officer Brennan we should leave multiple times, that there was nothing suspicious happening. He didn't listen. Brennan shoots Chen, a look that could melt steel. Shut your mouth. Officer Brennan. Veronica's voice snaps back to him. You don't give orders here. Not anymore. In fact, you don't do anything else. Not one single thing. You stand exactly where you are. You say nothing. You wait. For what? Brennan's voice cracks. For the consequences of your actions. Veronica pulls out her phone. Soaking wet but still functional. Water resistant. Thank God for small favors. She dials a number from memory. This is Judge Veronica Hayes. I need to speak with Chief Morrison immediately. Yes, I'll hold. But tell him it's urgent. Brennan's face goes from white to gray. Judge Hayes, please. I have a family. 2 kids. A wife. I made a mistake. I know. But you made several mistakes. Veronica's eyes never leave his face. You racially profiled me. You violated my Fourth Amendment rights. You used excessive force. You committed assault with a deadly weapon, yes. A garden hose at full pressure qualifies. You made false accusations, intended to intimidate and humiliate. And you did all of this while wearing that badge and uniform, which makes it a federal civil rights violation under Section 1983. A voice comes through the phone. Judge Hayes? This is Chief Morrison. What's happened? Chief, I need units sent to 3,421 Sycamore Court immediately. I've just been assaulted by one of your officers. I need his supervisor. I need internal affairs. And I need you. There's a pause. Then, you were assaulted by one of my officers? Officer Cole Brennan. Badge number. Veronica looks at Brennan's chest. 4,127. He approached me on my own property without cause, demanded identification without legal authority, and when I refused, he used a garden hose to assault me for approximately 40 seconds, while making numerous racially charged statements. I'm sending units now. Morrison's voice is tight. Controlled. Stay on the line. Nobody leaves that scene. I'm not going anywhere. Veronica looks down at her soaked clothing. I'm standing in my front yard in wet clothes, surrounded by neighbors who witnessed and recorded the entire incident. Officer Tyler Chen. Badge number. She looks at Chen, questioningly. 8,954, ma'am. Chen's voice is quiet. Badge number 8,954 attempted to intervene and is documenting the aftermath. I want him commended for that. As for Officer Brennan, I want him removed from duty immediately and charged to the fullest extent of the law. Understood. Units are 3 minutes out. Judge Hayes, I am profoundly sorry this happened. This is unacceptable. Yes, it is. We'll discuss the department's systemic issues later. Right now, I need officers here who can handle this appropriately. Brennan sinks onto the curb, puts his head in his hands. His career is over. He knows it. Everyone knows it. Margaret brings out a blanket. Here, dear. She drapes it around Veronica's shoulders. You're shivering. Thank you. Veronica pulls the blanket tighter. Her adrenaline is fading now. The shock setting in. She's cold. Exhausted. Furious. The Rodriguez family approaches. Mr. Rodriguez holds up his phone. Judge Hayes, I got everything. From the moment he stepped on your lawn. Clear video. Audio, too. Thank you, Carlos. Veronica manages a small smile. Can you send that to my email? Already done. His wife nods. We sent it to you, to the Riverside Police Department, and to the ACLU. Smart thinking. More neighbors gather. The Johnsons, the Patels, the Chens, all of them offering support, offering their recordings, offering witness statements. This is a good neighborhood, Mrs. Patel says quietly. Good people. We don't tolerate this kind of behavior. Not here, not anywhere. Sirens approach. 3 patrol cars pull up. A sergeant steps out, gray-haired, weathered. He sees Veronica in the blanket, sees Brennan on the curb, sees all the phones. Judge Hayes? Sergeant Tom Michaels, ma'am. Chief Morrison sent us. He told us what happened. He looks at Brennan with undisguised disgust. I am so sorry. Sergeant Michaels, I need Officer Brennan taken into custody immediately. I'm filing formal charges for assault, civil rights violations, and abuse of authority. Michaels nods. Brennan, stand up. You're under arrest. Brennan looks up. His eyes are red. Tom, please. We've worked together for 12 years. You know me. I made a mistake. I didn't know she was. Doesn't matter who she is. Michael's voice is hard. You can't treat anyone like this. Badge and gun. Now. Brennan slowly removes his badge, his service weapon, hands them over. Michaels reads him his Miranda rights, puts him in cuffs. The same cuffs Brennan tried to use on Veronica 20 minutes ago. The irony is not lost on anyone. Chen stands at attention as Michaels approaches. Officer Chen, the judge mentioned you tried to intervene? Yes, sir. I told Officer Brennan multiple times that this was wrong, that we should leave. When he wouldn't stop, I began documenting everything myself. Good man. Michaels claps him on the shoulder. That took guts. Real guts. You did the right thing. Chen looks at Veronica. I should have done more sooner, ma'am. I'm sorry I didn't. You did enough. Veronica's voice is gentle now. You found your courage when it mattered. That's what counts. A black SUV pulls up. Chief Morrison steps out. He's 58, African American, distinguished in his dress uniform. He walks straight to Veronica. Judge Hayes. He extends his hand, then sees her soaked clothing and drops it. I don't even know what to say. How about explaining how one of your officers felt comfortable racially profiling and assaulting a federal judge in broad daylight? Veronica's voice is calm, measured, clinical. How about explaining what kind of training leads to that behavior? What kind of culture enables it? Morrison's jaw tightens. I don't have those answers yet. But I will. You have my word. He looks at Brennan being loaded into the patrol car. 17 years on the force. Never seen anything like this in his record. Then you weren't looking hard enough. Veronica pulls the blanket tighter. Because men like that don't wake up one morning and decide to start. This behavior is learned, practiced, reinforced over time. Which means he's done it before. Maybe not this blatantly. Maybe not to someone with the resources to fight back. But he's done it. Morrison nods slowly. I'll review his entire service record. Every complaint, every use of force report, every stop, all of it. And while you're at it, review your department's policies on racial profiling, community interaction, and use of force. Because this isn't just about one officer. This is systemic. Understood. Morrison pauses. What can I do for you right now? Veronica looks at her front yard. The roses she was watering. The hose still lying in the grass. The puddles of water soaking into the lawn. Her sanctuary violated. Her peace shattered. Right now, let me go inside and change my clothes. Then we're going to have a very long conversation about accountability. Of course. Morrison gestures to the officers. Secure the scene. Collect all evidence. I want statements from every witness. And someone get me that hose. It's evidence now. Margaret appears at Veronica's elbow. Come on, dear. Let's get you inside and into dry clothes. I'll make you some tea. Thank you, Margaret. Veronica lets herself be guided toward the house. At the doorway, she turns back. Chief Morrison, I want full transparency on this investigation. No internal whitewashing. No protecting your own. This goes by the book, or it goes federal. Your choice. It'll be by the book, Judge Hayes. You have my word. Inside, the house feels different. Smaller somehow. The kitchen, where she was drinking coffee just 40 minutes ago, feels like a memory from another lifetime. Margaret helps her upstairs to the bedroom. Sit. Margaret points to the bed. I'll get you towels and fresh clothes. Veronica sits. Her hands are still shaking. The adrenaline crash hits hard. She wraps her arms around herself, suddenly feeling very cold despite the warm house. Margaret returns with towels, a robe, comfortable clothes. Here, take your time. I'll be right downstairs. Thank you. Veronica's voice cracks slightly. Thank you for recording, for speaking up, for not looking away. Margaret's eyes are fierce. Veronica, I'm 76 years old. I've lived in this country my whole life. I've seen things I'm not proud of. Things I stayed quiet about when I was younger because that's what people did. Stay quiet. Don't make waves. But not anymore. Never again. What he did to you was wrong, evil, and everyone needs to know it. She leaves, closing the door softly behind her. Veronica strips off the wet clothes, steps into the shower. Hot water pours over her, washing away the garden hose water, but not the memory, not the humiliation, not the rage. She stands under the spray for a long time, lets herself cry, just for a few minutes. Then she straightens, breathes deep, lets the anger sharpen into something useful, something focused. She dries off, dresses in clean jeans and a button-down shirt, professional, purposeful. Brushes her hair, looks at herself in the mirror. A federal judge, a black woman who worked her entire life to get here. Harvard Law, top of her class, clerk for Justice Robinson, years in private practice, appointment to the bench at 37. Every step earned, every achievement fought for. And still, to Officer Cole Brennan, she was just a black woman who didn't belong in a nice neighborhood. Veronica walks downstairs. Margaret has tea ready, chamomile with honey. They sit at the kitchen table in silence for a moment. "How are you feeling?" Margaret's voice is gentle, angry. Veronica wraps her hands around the mug. Humiliated, violated, but also determined. Determined? This isn't just about me anymore. Veronica looks toward the window, toward the front yard, where officers are still collecting evidence. How many people has Brennan treated like this? People without federal credentials. People without the power to fight back. People who just took it because they didn't have a choice. Margaret nods. "You're going to fight this. I'm going to burn this to the ground." Veronica's voice is quiet, steady, not violently, not recklessly, but systematically, legally, completely. Because if a federal judge can be treated like this, imagine what happens to everyone else. Her phone rings. "Michael," she answers. "Veronica?" His voice is frantic. "I just saw your text. Are you okay? What happened? I'm leaving the hospital right now." "I'm fine." She cuts him off gently. "I'm home. I'm safe. But we need to talk." She tells him everything. The confrontation, the hose, the arrest. He listens in silence until she finishes. "I'm coming home." His voice is shaking. "I'm coming home right now." "No. Stay. Finish your surgeries. People need you. I need you to be steady right now. I need someone to be calm while I process this." "Veronica." "Michael, please. I need normal. I need to know that somewhere, life is continuing like it's supposed to. You being there, saving lives, that helps. Come home tonight. We'll talk then. Right now, I have work to do." He's quiet for a moment. "Okay, but I'm calling every hour. And if you need me, I'm 20 minutes away." "I know. I love you. I love you too." "And Veronica?" He pauses. "Make him pay." She smiles grimly. "That's the plan. By noon, the story is everywhere. Local news, national news, social media. The videos from Margaret and the neighbors have gone viral. Over 2 million views in 3 hours. Federal judge assaulted by police officer in her own yard. The headlines are brutal. The commentary even more so. Civil rights organizations issue statements. The ACLU, the NAACP, the National Bar Association. Chief Morrison holds a press conference at 2 p.m. Cameras everywhere. Reporters shouting questions. This morning, one of our officers engaged in conduct that is completely unacceptable and does not represent the values of the Riverside Police Department. Officer Cole Brennan has been suspended without pay, pending a full internal investigation. Additionally, the FBI has been contacted and will be conducting their own investigation into potential federal civil rights violations. We take these allegations extremely seriously. Chief, do you believe this was racially motivated? I believe the facts speak for themselves. A black woman was profiled, harassed, and assaulted in her own yard for no reason other than the officer's assumption that she didn't belong there. That's racial profiling. That's abuse of power. That's everything we're supposed to stand against. Will Officer Brennan face criminal charges? That decision will ultimately be made by the district attorney and potentially by federal prosecutors. But I can tell you, we are cooperating fully with all investigations and will support whatever charges are deemed appropriate. What about systemic issues in your department? Morrison pauses, takes a breath. I won't stand here and pretend we don't have work to do. Every police department in America has work to do. We're examining our training protocols, our oversight mechanisms, and our disciplinary procedures. This incident has exposed failures at multiple levels, and we will address them. Meanwhile, the Riverside County District Attorney, Patricia Valdez, releases her own statement. My office has reviewed the video evidence and witness statements regarding the incident involving Judge Veronica Hayes. Based on this preliminary review, we are filing criminal charges against former Officer Cole Brennan, including assault with a deadly weapon, assault under color of authority, false arrest, and civil rights violations. Additional charges may follow as the investigation continues. By evening, Brennan is formally charged. Arraignment set for Friday morning. Bail hearing to follow. His attorney, a former police union lawyer named David Foster, issues a statement. Officer Brennan deeply regrets this incident. He made an error in judgment and understands the serious consequences of his actions. We ask for privacy as his family deals with this difficult situation. The internet explodes. Error in judgment? He sprayed a woman with a hose for being black in a nice neighborhood. That's not an error. That's racism. The comments run into the thousands, tens of thousands. The anger is palpable, real, raw. Veronica watches the news coverage from her living room. Michael beside her now, arm around her shoulders. They sit in silence as commentators dissect every angle, every second of video, every possible implication. Before we go deeper, I would love to hear your point of view. Tell me what part hit you the hardest in the story, and share your thoughts in the comments. How do you think this should be handled? What consequences would feel like justice in a case like this? What systemic changes would actually make a difference? Share your honest thoughts below. Thursday morning. Veronica returns to the courthouse, not as a victim, as a judge. She has cases to hear, motions to rule on, justice to administer. Her colleagues greet her with hugs, support, fury on her behalf. Judge Thomas Brennan, no relation to the officer, thankfully stops her in the hallway. Veronica, I saw the videos. I don't even have words. Neither did I at first. Veronica manages a small smile. But I found some. If you need time, I need to work. She cuts him off gently. I need to sit on that bench and do my job, because if I don't, he wins. If I let this stop me, terrorize me, drive me away, then he wins. And I don't lose. Not to people like him. Judge Brennan nods. Understood. But if you need anything, I'll ask. Thank you. She enters her chambers, sits at her desk, looks at the case files waiting for her. Employment discrimination, civil rights violations, police misconduct. The irony is sharp. Here she is, the judge who rules on these exact issues, now a victim herself. Her clerk, Jessica Martinez, knocks softly. Judge Hayes? The DA's office called. They want to meet with you about the case. Schedule it. Veronica doesn't look up from her files. After court today, I have a full docket. Yes, ma'am. Jessica pauses. Judge, can I say something? Of course. What happened to you? It matters. Not just because you're a judge, but because it shows that this happens to everyone, that no amount of education or achievement or credentials protects us. That the system is broken even for the people inside it. That's going to change things. I really believe that. Veronica looks up, meets Jessica's eyes. I hope you're right, because if it doesn't change things, If this just becomes another viral moment that everyone forgets next week, then what's the point? It won't be. Jessica's voice is firm. Not this time. Friday morning. Cole Brennan's arraignment. Federal courthouse. Not Veronica's courtroom. She's recused herself from anything related to the case. Judge Margaret Foster presiding instead. The courtroom is packed. Media, activists, concerned citizens. Brennan's family in the front row. His wife, Jennifer, eyes red from crying. His 2 children with their grandmother. Emma, 8 years old. Tyler, 5. Brennan enters in civilian clothes. No uniform. No badge. Just an ordinary man in a gray suit, facing extraordinary charges. Judge Foster reads the charges. Assault with a deadly weapon. Assault under color of authority. Deprivation of rights under color of law. False arrest. Battery. How does the defendant plead? David Foster stands. Not guilty, Your Honor. The prosecution, led by Assistant District Attorney Marcus Richardson, argues against bail. Your Honor, the defendant used his position of authority to commit a violent, racially motivated attack on a federal judge. The abuse of power here is extraordinary. The defendant represents a danger to the community. Foster responds immediately. Your Honor, my client has no prior criminal record. He's a 17-year veteran of law enforcement with commendations and service awards. He has deep roots in this community, a wife and 2 young children who depend on him. He poses no flight risk and no danger to anyone. Judge Foster considers. Bail is set at $250,000. Electronic monitoring. Surrender of passport. No contact with Judge Hayes or any witnesses. Next court date in 30 days for preliminary hearing. Brennan's father, sitting in the gallery, closes his eyes in relief. They can afford the bail. Barely, but they can make it happen. Outside the courthouse, the media swarms. Richardson gives a brief statement. Justice moves forward. We will prove every charge beyond a reasonable doubt. Foster counters. Officer Brennan is presumed innocent. The rush to judgment in this case is deeply troubling. We look forward to presenting the full context in court. Full context. The phrase sparks immediate backlash online. What context makes spraying someone with a hose acceptable? What context justifies racial profiling? But Foster knows what he's doing. He's already building a defense narrative. Mistake, misunderstanding, overzealous policing, not racist assault. It won't work. Veronica knows it. Richardson knows it. But Foster has to try. It's his job. Behind the scenes, a different investigation unfolds. Internal Affairs Captain Sarah Chen, Tyler Chen's aunt, coincidentally leads a team through 17 years of Brennan's service records. What they find is damning. 14 excessive force complaints, all dismissed as unfounded or unsubstantiated. 23 use of force incidents, all cleared as justified. 37 civilian complaints, most involving people of color, all resolved with counseling or retraining. But there's a pattern, clear, undeniable. When you lay out the data, map the incidents, examine the demographics, it tells a story. Brennan stops Black and Latino drivers at 4 times the rate of white drivers. His arrests of people of color are 3 times higher than the department average. His use of force incidents are almost exclusively against minorities. Captain Chen presents her findings to Chief Morrison, to the city attorney, to the mayor. How did we miss this? Morrison stares at the report spread across the conference table. How did this go on for 17 years? Because nobody was looking. Chen's voice is quiet, firm. Each complaint was reviewed in isolation. Each incident treated as a separate event. Nobody connected the dots. Nobody wanted to connect the dots. The city attorney, Robert Kim, shakes his head. This is a liability nightmare. Every arrest Brennan made, every case he testified in, all of it potentially tainted. That's not our concern right now. Morrison's voice is hard. Our concern is making sure this never happens again. Captain Chen, I want a full audit of every officer in this department. Use the same methodology. Find any other patterns. That's going to take months. And resources we don't have. Then we'll find the resources. Because if we have another Brennan hiding in our ranks, I want them found and removed before they destroy someone else's life. The investigation expands. The FBI gets involved. Federal civil rights prosecutors review the evidence. The Department of Justice opens a pattern and practice investigation into the entire Riverside Police Department. And Veronica? She hires the best civil rights attorney in California, Rebecca Thompson, 62 years old, former NAACP Legal Defense Fund director, winner of 47 civil rights cases. 0 losses. They meet in Veronica's chambers on a Wednesday afternoon. Rebecca sits across from her, reviewing the evidence on a tablet. This is one of the most clear-cut cases I've ever seen. Rebecca looks up. Video from multiple angles. Witness testimony. His own words on camera. And you're a federal judge who knows the law better than most attorneys. This is a slam dunk. I don't want a slam dunk. Veronica leans forward. I want change. Real, systemic change. Not just Brennan in prison. Not just a financial settlement. I want reforms that actually matter. What are you thinking? Federal consent decree for the department. Independent oversight board with real power. Mandatory body cameras that can't be turned off. Citizen review of all use of force incidents. Bias training that actually works. Early warning systems for problem officers. And transparency. Full transparency on all complaints and investigations. Rebecca smiles. Going for the whole system, huh? Why settle for less? Veronica sits back. This happened to me because the system protected Brennan for 17 years. Protected his behavior. Enabled his racism. Dismissed complaint after complaint. If we don't fix the system, we just create the next Brennan. And the next. And the next. You know the city will fight this. These kinds of reforms are expensive. Difficult. They expose liability. Let them fight. I have time. I have resources. And I have every legal tool at my disposal. More importantly, I have the moral high ground. They assaulted a federal judge in her own yard. The optics are terrible for them. The leverage is all on our side. Rebecca nods slowly. All right. Let's do it. Full federal civil rights lawsuit. Pattern and practice claims. Systemic failures, individual liability for Brennan, and supervisory liability for the department. We're going to war. Good. Veronica's eyes are hard, because they brought this war to my front lawn. Now we finish it. The lawsuit is filed 2 weeks later. Hayes v. City of Riverside, Brennan, Morrison, and the Riverside Police Department. 137 pages. Meticulously documented. Devastating in its detail. The media coverage is immediate and intense. Federal judge sues police department. Over hose assault. The story dominates news cycles, talk shows, legal podcasts, social media debates. Support pours in. The National Bar Association releases a statement calling for comprehensive police reform. The ACLU files an amicus brief. Former judges, current judges, law professors, all weighing in with opinions, analysis, support. But there's backlash too. Police unions issue statements defending Brennan. Conservative commentators question whether this is really about racism or about a judge with an agenda. Social media trolls attack Veronica with racist vitriol, death threats, harassment. Michael finds her one evening reading the comments on her laptop. Closes it gently. Don't. You know better than to read that garbage. I need to see it. Veronica's voice is tired. I need to understand what we're dealing with. What we're dealing with is people who'll never change their minds no matter what evidence they see. Don't waste your energy on them. He's right. She knows he's right. But still, the hatred stings. The casual cruelty. The assumption that she's somehow the problem instead of the victim. Margaret calls daily, checking in, offering support. One conversation stands out. "You know what bothers me most?" Margaret's voice is thoughtful. "I've lived next to you for 6 years. We've had tea together hundreds of times. We've talked about our families, our gardens, our lives. I thought I understood, but I didn't. Not really. Because I've never had to wonder if a police officer would question whether I belong in my own home. I've never had to worry that watering my flowers might be seen as suspicious. And I should have understood that. Should have seen it. But I didn't until it happened right in front of me. You see it now." Veronica's voice is gentle. "That's what matters. It's not enough. I should have seen it before. We all should have. That's what systemic racism is, Margaret. It's invisible until it's not, until it happens to someone you know, someone you care about. That's why individual cases matter. Because they make the invisible visible. Then we need to make sure everyone sees this one." Margaret becomes an unexpected activist. She organizes the neighborhood, starts a petition supporting comprehensive police reform, speaks at city council meetings. Her voice, shaking at first, then growing stronger. "I'm 76 years old. I've been quiet my whole life. Stayed in my lane. Didn't make waves. But I'm done being quiet. What happened to my neighbor, my friend, could happen to anyone. And I won't stand by and let it happen again." The petition gets 8,000 signatures in 2 weeks. The city council takes notice. Meanwhile, Officer Tyler Chin becomes a key witness. He testifies before Internal Affairs, before the FBI, before the grand jury, when federal charges are considered. His testimony is damning, detailed, specific. He describes Brennan's comments in the car before the incident, the assumptions, the racial bias, the determination to check it out despite Chen's objections. He also testifies about the culture, the unwritten rules. Don't question senior officers. Don't break the blue wall. Protect your own, even when they're wrong. "I knew it was wrong." Chen's voice is steady in the deposition. "I knew it from the moment we pulled up, but I didn't act fast enough. I didn't speak up loud enough. And I've had to live with that, with knowing I could have stopped it sooner if I'd just had more courage." "You found your courage eventually." Rebecca Thompson's voice is gentle during the questioning. "You spoke up. You documented. You told the truth. That matters. It should have been sooner, but it happened. And because of you, we have a complete record of what occurred. Your testimony will help ensure this never happens to anyone else." Chen nods. "I hope so. Because if there's one thing I learned that day, it's that silence is complicity. And I won't be complicit ever again." His testimony goes viral, too. Young police officer breaks ranks to tell truth about abuse. The police union tries to discipline him. Chief Morrison intervenes personally. Officer Chen did exactly what every officer should do when they witness misconduct. He told the truth. If the union has a problem with that, they need to examine their values, not his. The union backs down, quietly, but the message is sent. The culture is shifting, slowly, painfully, but shifting. 3 months later, the criminal trial begins. People v. Brennan, Riverside County Superior Court, Judge Foster presiding. The prosecution's case is overwhelming. Video evidence, witness testimony, Brennan's own words captured on camera. Margaret testifies. Carlos Rodriguez testifies. The Patels, the Johnsons, the Chens, all the neighbors who filmed, who watched, who witnessed. Tyler Chen testifies. His testimony is powerful, emotional. He describes Brennan's behavior, his own failure to intervene faster, his determination to make things right. And then Veronica testifies. The courtroom falls silent as she walks to the stand, raises her right hand, swears to tell the truth. Richardson leads her through the events of that morning, step by step, detail by detail. Her voice never wavers, never breaks. She recounts the confrontation, the accusations, the hose, the humiliation. Judge Hayes, Can you describe how you felt when the water hit you? Veronica pauses, considers, chooses her words carefully. Terrified, humiliated, helpless. I'm a federal judge. I've spent my entire career upholding the law, protecting rights, ensuring justice. And in that moment, none of that mattered. My education didn't matter. My achievements didn't matter. My title didn't matter. All that mattered to Officer Brennan was the color of my skin. And that made me, in his eyes, someone who didn't belong, someone who could be treated with contempt and violence without consequence. The courtroom is absolutely silent. Jurors lean forward. Some have tears in their eyes. Did you believe Officer Brennan would stop if you didn't comply with his demands? Veronica shakes her head. No. I believed he would escalate. I believed he would arrest me, possibly use physical force against me. I believed that my refusal to submit to his illegal demands would be met with violence. And I was right. Richardson nods. Thank you, Judge Hayes. No further questions. Foster's cross-examination is brief. Careful. He knows he can't attack Veronica too aggressively. The optics would be disastrous. Judge Hayes, isn't it true that Officer Brennan didn't know you were a federal judge when this incident began? That's correct. So his actions couldn't have been motivated by your position? Veronica looks at Foster directly. That's exactly my point, Mr. Foster. He treated me this way because he thought I was just an ordinary black woman who had no power to fight back. If anything, that makes it worse, not better, because it means he's done this before to people who couldn't defend themselves, people who had no choice but to accept his abuse. Foster has no response to that. He sits down quickly. The defense calls Brennan to the stand. It's a calculated risk. But Foster believes the jury needs to hear remorse, humanity, something to counter the videos and testimony. Brennan takes the stand, looks at the jury. His attorney leads him through his service record. 17 years, commendations, community involvement, youth programs. Then they get to that Tuesday morning. Officer Brennan, tell the jury what you were thinking when you approached Judge Hayes. Brennan swallows hard. I saw someone I didn't recognize in a neighborhood where we'd had previous burglary reports. I thought I was doing my job, checking on suspicious activity. What made you think Judge Hayes was engaged in suspicious activity? Brennan pauses. She didn't look like the other residents I'd seen in that neighborhood. Because she's black? Objection. Richardson is on his feet, leading. Sustained. Foster, rephrase. Officer Brennan, when you say she didn't look like other residents, what do you mean? I mean, Brennan struggles. I made an assumption. A wrong assumption, based on her race. Yes, I admit that. The jury watches him carefully. Some lean back, arms crossed. Not buying it. Did you intend to harm Judge Hayes? No. Never. I was trying to establish control of the situation, but I lost my temper. Used excessive force. Said things I shouldn't have said, and I regret that. Deeply. On cross-examination, Richardson is surgical. Officer Brennan, you testified that you thought Judge Hayes looked suspicious. What specifically was suspicious about a woman watering flowers? Brennan shifts uncomfortably. In hindsight, nothing. But at the time, you saw a black woman and assumed she was either a maid or a criminal. Isn't that right? I made a mistake. A racist mistake? Yes. I suppose that's fair. And when Judge Hayes refused to show you ID, which she had every legal right to do, you didn't walk away, did you? No. You didn't call a supervisor to get guidance, did you? No. You grabbed a garden hose and assaulted her for 40 seconds while hurling racist accusations. That's what you did. I lost control. You assaulted a woman for the crime of being black in a nice neighborhood. Objection. Foster jumps up. Argumentative. Sustained. Move on, Mr. Richardson. But the point is made. The jury has heard it. Seen it. The videos have shown it. No amount of remorse can erase what happened. Closing arguments take 3 hours. Richardson methodically lays out every element of every charge: assault, civil rights violations, abuse of authority. The evidence is overwhelming, undeniable. Foster does his best, talks about mistakes, human error, the stress of police work. But even he seems to know it's not enough. The jury deliberates for 4 hours, returns with a verdict: guilty on all counts. Brennan's wife sobs in the front row. His children don't understand why Daddy is crying. His father sits stone-faced, staring straight ahead. Sentencing is set for 6 weeks later. But the criminal trial is only part of the story. The civil lawsuit moves forward simultaneously. Discovery reveals even more damaging information. Internal emails show supervisors dismissing complaints about Brennan. He's aggressive, but he gets results. Community complainants are often unreliable. We need to support our officers. Training records show Brennan failed bias training twice, but was allowed to continue working anyway. Use of force reviews show a pattern of complaints being marked unfounded without serious investigation. Rebecca Thompson presents all of it in depositions, in motions, in court filings, building an overwhelming case not just against Brennan, but against the entire system that protected him. The city's attorneys try to fight, try to limit liability, try to settle quietly. Rebecca refuses. We're not settling. Not unless the settlement includes comprehensive reforms with independent oversight and enforcement mechanisms. Judge Hayes isn't interested in money. She wants change. The city balks. The reforms Rebecca is demanding would cost millions, would require fundamental restructuring of the department, would mean acknowledging systemic failures. So acknowledge them. Rebecca's voice is ice. Because every day you delay, we're finding more evidence, more complaints, more patterns, more officers like Brennan who've been protected for years. How many more federal lawsuits do you want to face? The negotiations drag on for months, back and forth, proposals and counter-proposals, the city trying to minimize, Rebecca and Veronica refusing to budge. Finally, the city blinks, agrees to a comprehensive settlement, not just money, though the financial component is substantial, $7 million. But more importantly, reforms. Mandatory body cameras for all officers. Always on during interactions. Automatic upload to cloud storage. Deactivation means immediate termination. Independent Civilian Oversight Board. 9 members. Community elected. Subpoena power. Independent investigators. Real authority to discipline officers. Early warning system. AI-assisted tracking of complaints. Use of force incidents. Patterns. Problem officers flagged before situations escalate. Quarterly bias training. Led by psychologists and community members. Actually meaningful. Not just check-the-box compliance. Federal consent decree. 5-year minimum. Department of Justice monitoring. Regular audits. Enforceable standards. It's a victory. A real one. But it comes at a cost. Veronica spends months fighting. Depositions, court appearances, media interviews, all while maintaining her regular caseload. The stress is enormous. The toll is real. Michael worries about her, sees the exhaustion, the weight she carries. You don't have to do all of this, he says one night after she's worked until midnight on case files. You could step back. Let Rebecca handle the civil case. Focus on healing. I can't. Veronica looks up from her laptop. If I step back, they'll say I wasn't really hurt, that it wasn't really that serious, that I'm exaggerating for attention or money or political purposes. I have to see this through. You've already won. Brennan's in prison. The reforms are happening. You've changed the system. Have I? Veronica's voice is tired. Or have I just forced them to write new policies? They'll ignore the first chance they get. Real change takes time. Vigilance. Constant pressure. I can't stop now. He understands. Doesn't like it, but understands. So he supports her. Holds her when she cries. celebrates the small victories, reminds her to eat, to sleep, to take care of herself. Margaret continues her activism, organizes community meetings, brings people together to discuss police accountability. Elderly white woman becomes unlikely voice for reform. She receives hate mail, threats, people calling her a traitor to her race, a race traitor, worse things. She files them all away, reports the serious threats to police, and keeps going. Someone has to speak up, she tells Veronica over Sunday tea. Someone has to say this is wrong. And if an old white lady's saying it makes people listen who wouldn't otherwise, then I'll say it 1,000 times. Tyler Chen gets promoted to sergeant at 27, youngest in the department. He leads the new ethical intervention training, teaches officers that duty is to law and justice, not to each other. That silence is complicity. He speaks at police academies across California, consults with departments in 12 other states. His message is simple: do the right thing, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. He gets engaged. His fiancée, Sarah, is a social worker. They bond over their shared commitment to justice and community service. The wedding is planned for next summer. 6 weeks after the verdict. Sentencing day. The courtroom is packed again. Media. Activists. Brennan's family. Veronica sitting in the gallery. Michael beside her. Judge Foster enters. The bailiff calls for order. Mr. Brennan, please rise. Foster's voice is grave. This court has carefully considered the evidence, the testimony, and the impact of your actions. What you did on August 14th was not a momentary lapse in judgment. It was a manifestation of deep-seated bias that you carried with you throughout your career. You saw a black woman and immediately assumed criminality. You used your position of authority to humiliate and assault her, and you did so with full awareness that what you were doing was wrong. The court acknowledges your expression of remorse. However, remorse does not undo the harm. It does not erase 17 years of complaints and patterns that should have been addressed long ago. This sentence must reflect several factors: punishment, deterrence, and the message it sends about accountability in law enforcement. For assault with a deadly weapon, 8 years in state prison. For assault under color of authority, 5 years, to run consecutively. For civil rights violations, federal charges, 3 years, to run consecutively. Total, 16 years in state and federal custody. Credit for time served. Eligible for parole after serving 85%. Permanent prohibition from any law enforcement position. $250,000 fine. 5 years supervised release after prison. Mandatory continued counseling for racial bias. Brennan's wife collapses in tears. His children cry, confused and scared. His father stares at the judge, face carved from stone. Veronica feels no triumph, no joy, just exhaustion and a grim satisfaction that accountability has, finally, been served. Brennan is led away in handcuffs. The irony is not lost on anyone in that courtroom. The man who wanted to put cuffs on an innocent woman, now wearing them himself. Outside the courthouse, Rebecca Thompson addresses the media. Rebecca stands at the microphone, Veronica beside her, silent and composed. Today, justice was served. Not just for Judge Hayes, but for every person who has been profiled, harassed, or abused by those sworn to protect them. This sentence sends a clear message: badge or no badge, you will be held accountable for your actions. A reporter calls out, "Judge Hayes, how do you feel about the sentence?" Veronica steps forward. Her voice is steady, measured, judicial. "I feel that justice has been served within the confines of our legal system. 16 years is significant, but I want to be clear. This was never about revenge. This was about accountability and change. Officer Brennan will serve his time. But the real work is ensuring that the systemic failures that enabled his behavior for 17 years are addressed and corrected. That's the victory that matters." Another reporter, Do you think the reforms will actually work? I think they'll work if we remain vigilant, if communities stay engaged, if oversight boards do their jobs, if we don't become complacent. Reform is not a one-time event. It's a continuous process that requires constant attention and effort. The press conference continues for 20 minutes. Questions about the civil settlement, about Brennan's appeals, about the broader implications for police reform. Finally, Veronica steps back from the microphones, Michael's arm around her shoulders. They walk to their car through a crowd of supporters, people calling out encouragement, thanking her, sharing their own stories of police encounters. One woman, maybe 30 years old, catches Veronica's arm gently. "Thank you. My brother was killed by police 3 years ago. Nobody cared because he wasn't a judge or a lawyer or someone important. Just a kid from the wrong neighborhood. But what you're doing, it matters. It matters for people like him." Veronica stops, holds the woman's hand. "What was his name?" "Marcus. Marcus Williams. I'm sorry for your loss. And I promise you, this fight includes Marcus too. All of it. Every single person who's been failed by a system that's supposed to protect them." The woman nods, tears streaming. "Thank you." Later, at home, Veronica and Michael sit in the garden. The roses have been replanted. New flowers. A fresh start. Michael installed a sprinkler system. No hoses. Too triggering. Too many memories. They sit in silence for a while. Just breathing. Being. "It's over," Michael says softly. "No." Veronica shakes her head. "It's just beginning. The real work starts now." 6 months later, the changes are tangible, real, measurable. The Riverside Police Department operates under a federal consent decree. Department of Justice monitors every aspect of operations. Regular audits, enforceable standards, real consequences for non-compliance. Body cameras are mandatory, 98% compliance rate, up from 67% before the incident. Officers who deactivate cameras without legitimate reason face immediate termination. 3 officers have already been fired for violations. The Civilian Oversight Board is operational. 9 members elected by community vote. Dr. Patricia Morrison, former ACLU attorney, serves as chair. They've reviewed 63 cases in 6 months. 8 officers disciplined, 4 terminated. Real accountability happening. The early warning system is working. AI-assisted algorithm tracks patterns in real time, identifies problem officers before situations escalate. 12 officers flagged in the first 3 months, all placed in mandatory counseling and additional supervision. 2 ultimately terminated for refusing to change behavior. Bias training happens quarterly, not the old check-the-box sessions. Real workshops led by psychologists, community members, former victims of police misconduct. Officers report it's challenging, uncomfortable, actually makes them think. Use of force is down 38%. Civilian complaints down 41%. Community trust scores up 23%. The numbers tell the story. Chief Morrison addresses the city council. "We were broken. Judge Hayes forced us to confront that, to fix ourselves. We're not perfect yet. We probably never will be. But we're better, more accountable, more transparent, more committed to actual justice instead of just law enforcement," Mayor Sandra Mitchell adds. This incident exposed failures at every level of city government, not just police. My office, the city attorney, human resources. We all failed to see the patterns, to connect the dots, to hold people accountable. That changes now. That changed the moment that video went viral, and we could no longer look away. Veronica creates something new, something bigger than one lawsuit or one case. The Hayes Initiative, nonprofit organization dedicated to police accountability and community empowerment. Mission statement: empowering communities through legal support, citizen journalism, and systemic advocacy. Legal Defense Fund, pro bono attorneys available for people facing police misconduct. 147 cases handled in 8 months. 31 settlements reached. 7 prosecutions initiated. Real help for real people. Citizen journalist training. Teaching people how to safely document police interactions, how to film effectively, how to preserve evidence, how to testify if needed. 1,500 people trained. 400 body cameras distributed to community members. Documentation that can't be erased or ignored. Youth Justice Scholars Program. 20 full scholarships for students pursuing careers in law, criminal justice reform, social work, named after victims of police violence. Funded by the settlement money and private donations. Already $3 million in the endowment. Marcus Williams is one of the scholars. 19 now. Senior at UC Riverside. The young man from the neighborhood who recorded part of the original incident on his phone. His video has 23 million views now. Time magazine featured him in their Next Generation Leaders issue. Accepted to Harvard Law School. Full scholarship from the Hayes Initiative. Plans to study civil rights law and criminal justice reform. Still, live streams city council meetings, police oversight board hearings, community events. 470,000 followers now. A voice that matters. He speaks at a Hayes Initiative fundraiser. Judge Hayes changed my life, not because she's famous or important, but because she showed me that one person standing up, refusing to accept injustice, can change an entire system. I was just a kid with a phone, but that phone captured truth, and truth has power, real power. Now I'm going to law school to learn how to use that power to help people who don't have their own Judge Hayes to fight for them. Standing ovation. 2 minutes. The room on its feet. Veronica wipes away tears. Officer Tyler Chen, now Sergeant Chen, leads a new initiative, ethical intervention training, teaching officers that their duty is to law and justice, not to each other. That intervening when a colleague is wrong is not betrayal, it's the job. I stayed silent too long with Brennan. His voice is firm as he addresses a room full of recruits. Almost made me complicit in what he did. I tell you now, if you see something wrong, you speak up. You intervene. You document. You report. Because your badge doesn't give you permission to break the law. It gives you responsibility to uphold it. And if that means standing against your partner, your supervisor, your friend, you do it anyway. Because that's what integrity looks like. He teaches this message at 12 police departments across California, consults with federal law enforcement agencies. His story, his courage, his willingness to tell the truth, it resonates, changes minds, changes culture, slowly but surely. He gets married in June. Small ceremony. Intimate. Veronica and Michael attend. So does Margaret. A strange little family formed from tragedy and truth. At the reception, Chen pulls Veronica aside. I need to thank you. For what? For showing me what real courage looks like. You could have just let it go, taken a settlement, moved on. But you fought, not just for yourself, for everyone. You made me realize that's what we're supposed to do. Fight for everyone, not just the people who look like us, or vote like us, or live in the right neighborhoods. Everyone. Veronica smiles. You already knew that, Tyler. You just needed permission to act on it. And now you're teaching others. That's how change happens. One person at a time. One decision at a time. Margaret becomes an unlikely activist icon. 77 now. Still organizing. Still speaking at city council meetings. Still demanding accountability. She joins the Civilian Oversight Board as a community representative. Brings perspective from someone who spent 76 years trusting police unconditionally. Until she couldn't anymore. I thought police were always the good guys, she tells a community forum. I thought if you just obeyed, followed the rules, respected authority, you'd be safe. And for me, a white woman in a nice neighborhood, that was mostly true. But it's not true for everyone. It never has been. And once I saw that with my own eyes, I couldn't unsee it. I couldn't go back to comfortable ignorance. She mentors young activists, teaches them how to navigate city bureaucracy, how to organize effectively, how to speak at public meetings. Her age gives her credibility in spaces where younger activists might be dismissed. She uses that privilege deliberately, strategically. Other witnesses from that morning find their voices too. Carlos Rodriguez teaches Know Your Rights workshops in Spanish and English. The Patel family funds scholarship programs for students interested in law and justice. The Johnson family started a neighborhood watch program that actually works with community members instead of just calling police for every unfamiliar face. All of them connected through the Hayes Initiative. All of them part of a growing network of people committed to change. Cole Brennan serves his time at California State Prison, Sacramento. Medium security, library work assignment, teaching GED classes to other inmates, mandatory counseling continuing. His therapist, Dr. Raymond Foster, works with him on understanding and confronting his biases. It's slow work, painful work. Brennan resists at first, defensive, angry, but gradually, over months and years, something shifts. He begins to see, to understand, to genuinely confront what he did and why. He writes letters to Veronica. She doesn't read them. Her assistant logs them for his parole file, documents his progress, or lack thereof. That's enough. Earliest possible release, 2040. He's 39 now. Will be 53 then. His children growing up without him. Emma 13 now. Tyler 10. They visit quarterly. His ex-wife Jennifer remarried 2 years ago. A good man. A teacher. Someone steady and kind who helps raise Brennan's children. Jennifer tells them the truth. Age-appropriate versions, but truth. Daddy made very serious mistakes. Hurt someone badly. Has to face consequences for his actions. Needs to learn and grow and become better. Brennan's father visits monthly. Brings photos of the kids. Reminds him what he lost. What his choices cost. Not cruel, but honest. Unflinching. You were a good cop once, his father says during one visit. You helped people. Made a difference. But somewhere along the way, you forgot that the badge is about service, not power. You forgot that every person deserves dignity and respect, regardless of how they look or where they live. And because you forgot, a good woman was terrorized in her own yard. Because you forgot, your children lost their father. Because you forgot, you lost everything that mattered. Brennan nods, says nothing. What is there to say? His father is right. About all of it. The case becomes precedent. Hayes v. City of Riverside cited in 37 federal civil rights cases across the country. Challenges to qualified immunity. Arguments for systemic reform. Evidence that change is possible when accountability is real. Law schools add it to their curriculum. Constitutional law, civil rights, criminal procedure. Students study the videos, read the depositions, analyze the settlement agreement. Learn what real accountability looks like when the system actually works. The Hayes Doctrine, some legal scholars call it. The principle that no amount of authority exempts you from basic human decency. That power, without accountability, is tyranny. That badges don't grant permission to dehumanize. California passes the Hayes Act, named explicitly after Veronica. Statewide body camera requirements. Independent oversight mechanisms. Pattern tracking for problem officers. Early intervention systems. It becomes model legislation. Other states begin adapting it. Oregon passes similar reforms. Washington State, Nevada, Colorado strengthens existing laws using Hayes language. Federal legislation introduced with bipartisan support. The Accountability in Law Enforcement Act. Still working through committee, but momentum building. Netflix produces a documentary, The Judge and the Garden Hose. 3-part series. Interviews with everyone involved. Veronica, Margaret, Tyler Chen, the neighbors. Legal experts. Police reform advocates. Civil rights leaders. It premieres at Sundance. Wins the documentary jury prize. Gets picked up for wide release. Suddenly, millions of people who never heard the story are watching it, learning from it, being changed by it. One viewer, a police officer in Michigan named David Warren, watches it and immediately requests bias training for his entire department. Starts an ethical intervention program modeled on Chen's work. 2 years later, use of force incidents in his department down 52%. Community complaints down 63%. I saw what happened to Judge Hayes and I thought, that could be one of our officers. That could be me if I'm not vigilant, if I don't constantly check my assumptions, if I let the culture of the job override my basic humanity. So we changed the culture, and it worked. Stories like this multiply. Departments across the country examining their practices, some because they want to do better, others because they're afraid of being the next viral video. Either way, change happens. 3 years after the incident, Veronica returns to her garden, really returns, not just going through the motions, actually finding peace there again. The sprinkler system works well, but she decides she wants to water the roses herself sometimes. Needs to reclaim that. Needs to prove to herself that one terrible morning doesn't get to own this space forever. Michael offers to be there with her. She declines gently. This is something she needs to do alone. She picks up a hose. Green. New. Different from the one Brennan used. She turns on the water. Adjusts the nozzle. Gentle spray. Just like before. Her hands shake at first. Memories flood back. The water hitting her face. The helplessness. The fear. The rage. She breathes. Counts to 10. Focuses on the roses. On the present moment. On reclaiming this small piece of peace. The shaking stops. The water flows. The roses drink. Margaret watches from next door. Doesn't interrupt. Just bears witness to this quiet act of courage. You okay? She calls out softly after a few minutes. Yeah. Veronica looks up, smiles. I think I am. They water their gardens together, just like they used to, just like they will continue to do. Tuesday mornings, Wednesday evenings, whenever the roses need it. Normal, ordinary, reclaimed. The Hayes Initiative expands. Chapters in 15 cities now. Same mission, same model. Legal support, citizen journalism training, youth scholarships, systemic advocacy. Veronica steps back from day-to-day operations. Hires executive director, builds board of directors, creates sustainability. This needs to outlast her, needs to continue long after she's gone. She returns to full-time judicial duties, continues hearing cases, making rulings, administering justice. But she's different now, more vocal about systemic issues, more willing to use her position to advocate for change. She gives the keynote address at the National Bar Association convention. 3,000 attorneys, judges, law students, all there to hear her speak. Injustice anywhere threatens justice everywhere. She quotes Dr. King. But I'll add this. Privilege anywhere creates responsibility everywhere. I had advantages that morning. A federal judgeship, legal knowledge, resources, a platform. And because I had those advantages, I had a responsibility to use them. Not just for myself, but for everyone who doesn't have them. For every person who gets profiled and harassed and abused, and has no recourse, no cameras, no witnesses who care, no attorneys willing to take their case. For them, we fight. For them, we use whatever privilege and power we have to create systems that protect everyone equally. The ovation lasts 5 minutes. People on their feet, some crying, some angry, all moved, all motivated. After the speech, a young black law student approaches, nervous, trembling slightly. Judge Hayes, thank you. My brother was shot by police when I was 15, unarmed. No investigation, no charges, no consequences. I became a lawyer because of that, because I wanted to fight, but I didn't think I could make a difference. Then I saw what you did, how you fought, and I realized one person can change everything. What's your name? Destiny. Destiny Robinson. Well, Destiny, you're going to be a great attorney, and you're going to change lives. I believe that. Destiny nods, tears streaming. Thank you. Thank you so much. Veronica watches her walk away, sees herself at that age, young, determined, believing justice was possible if you worked hard enough, if you were smart enough, if you followed the rules. She knows better now, knows that the system is broken in fundamental ways, knows that rules don't always apply equally, knows that hard work and intelligence aren't always enough. But she also knows that change is possible, that individual actions matter, that courage is contagious, that truth has power, and she knows that giving up is not an option. 5 years after the incident, the transformation is undeniable. Riverside Police Department is now a model for reform, featured in DOJ reports, studied by other departments, visited by delegations from across the country and internationally. Body camera compliance, 99.2%. Use of force incidents, down 53% from pre-reform levels. Civilian complaints, down 58%. Community trust scores, up 41%. Officer morale, actually higher than before, because good cops want to work in departments with real accountability. Chief Morrison retires. His replacement, Chief Alicia Henderson, is the first black woman to lead the department, former federal prosecutor, committed to continued reform. She meets with Veronica regularly, maintains accountability, keeps the pressure on. The change isn't perfect. There are still incidents, still complaints, still officers who resist the new culture. But when problems arise, they're addressed, investigated, consequences happen. That's the difference. That's the change that matters. The Civilian Oversight Board continues its work. Dr. Morrison, Margaret, and 7 other community members meeting monthly, reviewing cases, holding hearings, exercising real authority, being the accountability mechanism that should have existed all along. Tyler Chen, now 31, makes lieutenant, youngest ever in department history. He runs the training academy. Every recruit goes through his ethical intervention program. Every officer gets annual refresher training. The culture shifts, one class at a time. Marcus Williams graduates from Harvard Law, top 15% of his class, joins the ACLU Racial Justice Program, already working on major cases, already making a difference. His first big win, successful challenge to qualified immunity in a police brutality case in Texas. Judge cites Hayes v. City of Riverside in the ruling. The scholarship students from the Hayes Initiative are finding their voices, becoming attorneys, social workers, journalists, activists. 23 have graduated now. 41 currently in school. All committed to justice. All connected to each other. All part of a growing network of people dedicated to change. Veronica is 49 now. Silver threading through her natural curls. Laugh lines around her eyes. Still beautiful. Still powerful. Still fighting. She and Michael celebrate their 20th wedding anniversary. Quiet dinner at home. Just the two of them. Reflecting on everything that's happened. Everything they've survived. Would you do it again? Michael asks. Knowing what you know now. The stress. The threats. The years of fighting. Would you still refuse to show ID that morning? Without hesitation. Veronica doesn't even pause. Because if I'd given in, if I'd just shown him my ID and let him feel powerful, what would that teach everyone watching? That authority without cause is acceptable? That you should comply with illegal demands just to avoid conflict? That your rights only matter if you're willing to risk everything to defend them? No, I'd do it exactly the same, every single time. He smiles, takes her hand. I know. That's who you are. That's why I love you. They sit in comfortable silence. In their home, in the neighborhood where it happened, in the place they refuse to abandon, or let be defined by one terrible morning. The roses bloom outside, red and pink and white, perfect in the evening light, watered by Veronica herself. Reclaimed, restored. Margaret knocks on the door, lets herself in, as always, brings pie, apple, homemade. They sit together in the kitchen, 3 people, connected by tragedy and transformed by truth. They talk about ordinary things, garden fertilizer, recipes, the weather, normal, peaceful, hard-won. Later, Veronica walks Margaret home, returns to her own porch, sits in the gathering dark, listens to the neighborhood, kids playing, dogs barking, life continuing, ordinary, beautiful. She thinks about Brennan. 15 years left on his sentence. Parole hearing in 2040. She'll testify against early release. Not from vengeance, from reality. He needs to serve his time, face full consequences. And even then, he should never wear a badge again. She thinks about the system. Still broken in so many ways. Still failing so many people. But better. Measurably better. Provably better. Change that can be quantified and documented and replicated. She thinks about the next generation. Destiny Robinson. Marcus Williams. All the students learning from this case. All the officers being trained differently. All the communities demanding accountability. Hope. Real hope. Not naive optimism, but evidence-based belief that improvement is possible when people refuse to accept injustice. People ask her constantly, was it worth it? The fight, the stress, the years of struggle. Her answer never changes. It was never about worth. It was about necessity. Brennan saw a black woman, assumed powerlessness. He was wrong, but I had advantages. Title, resources, privilege. How many people don't? How many just have to endure because they have no choice? This victory belongs to them. To everyone profiled and harassed and abused. To Margaret, who spoke. To Marcus, who recorded. To Tyler, who found conscience. To every person who refuses to accept that injustice is just how things are. She pauses, looks directly at whoever's asking. And to you. Change happens when ordinary people refuse to look away. When they record. When they testify. When they demand better. Brennan got 16 years. The system got reform. That's justice. Not revenge. Not hatred. Accountability. Everyone's responsibility. Not someday. Today. Right now. In this moment. If you've stayed with this story from beginning to end, you've witnessed something real. Something that happened because one woman refused to accept that being black in her own yard made her suspicious. Because neighbors chose to record instead of look away. Because a young officer found the courage to tell the truth. Because a community demanded accountability. This isn't just a story about what happened to Judge Veronica Hayes. It's a story about what's possible when people decide that enough is enough. When they use whatever tools they have, phones, voices, votes, legal knowledge to fight for justice. So here's what I'm asking you to do. First, subscribe to Justice Stories. Hit that button. These stories need to be told, remembered, learned from. Share this video with someone who needs to see it. Someone who thinks this kind of thing doesn't happen. Or someone who's experienced it themselves and needs to know they're not alone. Comment below. Tell me, what part of this story hit you hardest? Was it the moment with the hose? The trial? The reforms? The long fight for accountability? Share your thoughts. I read every single comment. Your voice matters. But more than that, and this is the important part, do something. Not someday. Today. If you see injustice, document it. Every phone is a camera. Every citizen is a journalist. Your recording might be the evidence that changes everything. If you witness abuse, speak up. Like Margaret did. Like Tyler Chen did. Your voice has power, even when you think it doesn't. If you can give, support organizations doing this work. The ACLU, local civil rights groups, community oversight boards. They need resources to fight these battles. If you can vote, research candidates' positions on police accountability, demand reform, hold elected officials responsible for oversight and change. Visit organizations like the Hayes Initiative if they exist in your area. Learn your rights, get training, become part of the solution. Because here's the truth that Judge Hayes proved. The system doesn't change because it wants to. It changes because we force it to. One case at a time, one officer at a time, one department at a time, one person refusing to stay silent at a time. Cole Brennan thought he could humiliate and assault a black woman with impunity. He was wrong. The badge didn't protect him. The union didn't save him. The system that enabled him for 17 years couldn't stop accountability once the truth came to light. That's the lesson. That's the hope. That's what Justice Stories is about. So, I'll ask you one final question, and I want you to answer honestly in the comments. If you were there that morning, standing on your porch, seeing what Officer Brennan was doing to Judge Hayes, would you have filmed? Would you have spoken up like Margaret? Would you have intervened? Or would you have looked away and told yourself it wasn't your business? Be honest, then be better. Because justice isn't something that just happens. It's something we do. Together. Consistently. Courageously. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being here. Now go do something about it. Justice is a verb. Act accordingly.